After a long sleep, Bjorn woke up. At first, Bjorn was confused. Then he realized that he had come back along with Misha. Misha was sleeping near him with a cloth in her hand. Maybe she had wiped all the blood off Bjorn, and maybe she had done more than that. 2 days later, Bjorn went to the pub to meet with the rest of the team members. People were still talking about the Ryaki's incident and the brave barbarian, Little Vulcan. Bjorn had really become quite famous this time, but they were also talking about the bastard who summoned Ryaki's. If they knew that it was also Bjorn, his end would be really bad. Bjorn and the party started chatting. Rottmiller said that he was really glad to see both of them all right. Misha also asked him how he was, because she had heard that he got hurt in the witch's forest. Rottmiller said that he was really sorry for that, and if he hadn't gotten hurt, then they wouldn't have had to suffer in the witch's forest. But Bjorn said that it was enough, and they should order first. After ordering some food, Bjorn asked the dwarf about what happened to them. The dwarf said that it would be a short story since he already knew that Rottmiller was hurt. So he started the story after that. He used the Guardian's wrist guards once again to stall for time. Misha was surprised and asked him if he could use that item that often. I was also confused if that item had such a short cooldown period, but Bjorn seemed to know how he did it. The dwarf laughed and told her that if you use the skill Emergency Restoration, then you can restore the use count of an item. He said that it was a piece of wisdom from his predecessors. If you guys don't remember, it's the skill he used to restore his shield during the fight. At first, I thought that this skill was nothing much, but now I think it's kind of a cheat skill. He could even open a shop to restore people's item use counts. But that's not the main thing here. The main thing is that Misha was making Bjorn eat broccoli, and she was even feeding him with her own hands. Dwaki was confused seeing both of them doing this. He didn't understand when they got so close to each other. Did Dwaki have feelings for Misha? Because he was the one Misha talked to the most during the expedition. The dwarf continued his story. He told them that they ran far enough to treat Rottmiller and then tried to find Bjorn and Misha, but they were too far away for Rottmiller to detect them. So they continued to go around looking for them. But then they came across that woman again on the third day. Misha got excited and asked what happened after that. The dwarf said that it was a given. They ran away and took a portal to the 4th floor. They were successful in being the only ones to get up there. This triggered Bjorn, and he understood how that happened. They had taken advantage of the entry restriction. Let me explain it clearly. The color of the portal leading to the 4th floor, which is also known as Sky Tower, changes regularly. If you manage to enter the portal right before the color changes, then it blocks off the people after you. In simple terms, people enter separate spaces according to the color of the portal. So if you enter a color and then the color changes, the people after you can't enter the same space as you. The 4th floor is a 100-floor tower in itself. Once the trial on a floor is cleared, it is not regenerated. That's why the color changes and teams enter different spaces. So all of them cleared their floor trials. Since the floor monsters don't respawn after clearing it, it becomes a safe zone. The dwarf said that it was pretty torturous to just do nothing on the 1st floor of the tower for 10 days. Bjorn got angry, thinking that they were the ones who actually went through torture. Then he said that luckily, they got an essence on the 1st trial. Bjorn was shocked. Then the dwarf said that it was an essence of Mimic, a 7th rank monster. Rottmiller said that he was the one who took it. Bjorn was more shocked now. He couldn't understand what the fuck was going on in this game. The 7th rank monster, Mimic, is a rare monster, making its essence so much more valuable. It's not a combat type essence, but it gives you an active skill called Treasure Room, which allows you to open your own personal pocket plane. The main point is that when you open the treasure room for the first time, all kinds of items are randomly distributed throughout. Bjorn asked what they got. The dwarf said that it contained 2 million stones worth of mana stones, 3 highest grade potions, a numbered item in the 8000 series, and another in the 9000 series. Now Bjorn was angry and said, "What the fuck?" The dwarf said there was no need to curse. Bjorn bent the spoon while controlling his anger and said sorry, that he was just very shocked. Bjorn was thinking why this damn dwarf was so lucky. Then Rottmiller said that even though they were numbered items, he didn't need them and was going to sell them and divide the money from the sale. But the money would be more than 10 million stones. It's still so much, even if they split it up. Bjorn said his congratulations to the three of them. Then Misha asked him why he was breaking the utensils. Bjorn said that it was just that he couldn't control his strength because of the orc hero essence. Misha said that he had always been able to control it just fine. Bjorn said that it's not like she had seen all of him. Misha said if he put it like that, then she might have. The dwarf was also confused about what was going on here. He asked what happened to them. He said that he had heard the news a bit. Misha tried to tell him, but Bjorn stopped her and said that he would tell the story. Bjorn did this because there were things that he couldn't reveal. Then Bjorn told them what happened to them after getting separated. Of course, he hid the main things and twisted the story a little bit. Everyone congratulated Misha for getting her contract with the spirit beast. Rottmiller said that it must have been hard for her until now, but she meant that it was thanks to Bjorn. Misha laughed awkwardly and said what she meant was that they wouldn't have come back alive if it weren't for Bjorn. The dwarf said that getting the orc hero essence from the Djarwi clan was great, but 2 million stones for the protection fees was just too much. So they would give Bjorn and Misha one since they were partially responsible. Bjorn was very touched by the dwarf's words, thinking if he was a ray of light instead of a dwarf. Dwaki said that it was the greatest and most awesome story he had heard in a while, and it was such a shame that he couldn't be there. He looked pretty fired up like a kid whose father had told him a brave story. The dwarf said that no one would be able to argue against the nickname Little Vulcan after such an accomplishment. But, as always, Bjorn was unaware of his own news in the city. He asked the dwarf what he meant by Little Vulcan. The dwarf said, did he not hear it? He told him that this was what people were calling him. Then he told him that he got his nickname from being compared to the barbarian hero of the past ages, Vulcan. So people gave him the nickname Little Vulcan. Of course, Bjorn was not very happy about getting a nickname this soon. In the game, it was good to raise your fame stat, but this is reality. He would receive unwanted attention if he suddenly became famous. The dwarf said congratulations to him for getting a nickname on top of a 5th rank essence, and he was sure that he would make it big. Bjorn just said thanks to him. Then Misha made a cute face and said that there was still something important to discuss. She was talking about how they were going to split the money. They also got the reward money for reporting Kurui Priest. They got 3 million for reporting Elisha. This is what Team Misha and Bjorn got after the discussion. The team profit share was 2.44 million. They got 1.2 million from reporting Elisha, plus 1 million as assistance from the dwarf party he talked about earlier. They got 3.11 million from the equipment disposal they got from plunderers, plus 800,000 monostones they obtained after separating. So in total, they got 8.55 million stones. Now, if you subtract the money they used for equipment repairs and priest healing fees for Bjorn, they were in profit of 7.65 million. Of course, they were not getting the share from what the dwarf party got on their own, like what they got from the mimic essence. This is the reason Bjorn was that angry. Then Bjorn told Misha that originally they would split it evenly, but she must remember what she said. She swore to give it all to Bjorn when they were chased by Ryakis. While crying, Misha said fine, he could have it all. Then, after a few days, Misha and Bjorn were hanging out together. Misha said that the labyrinth is a pain, but the real world is hard too. Bjorn said that he had taken care of most things that he needed to take care of. He picked up the equipment from the repair and some of the consumable items he needed, and they even looked around the auction. Misha said, that's great. She was looking very happy hanging around with Bjorn, but Bjorn was confused why she kept hanging around him. He thought that she might be sad about the money since he took it all. But he took it all so that he could manage it better. And the 7.65 million stones is not a big amount if they consider the future. Essences are important as well as weapons and equipment. He needed to focus on making Misha stronger since she is Bjorn's main party member now. This again reminded me about Erwin. Where is she? Did she not hear the news? He is quite famous now. Even the people on the road recognized him, or at least his name. Bjorn said that he was going to go back now, and asked Misha what she was going to do. She said that she was going to stop by her family. Bjorn was a little confused. Misha said that she might be there until tomorrow or the day after. Bjorn was confused about why she looked scared to tell him that. Of course, he was a bit worried. But it's her business, not his. He just said good luck to her. In a scared tone, she said that she guessed she felt better now. Of course, she didn't sound better at all. Then, Bjorn gave her a big good luck and asked her if she felt better now. Misha, feeling a little better, said that she would be back and told Bjorn to not skip his meals. She was a little embarrassed saying this. Bjorn just said, all right. Then she said that he needs to eat more vegetables too. Bjorn thought that she said that she would treat him like her savior, but she is treating him more like her son, just like his ex-girlfriend. After that, Bjorn entered the wagon and frightened everyone. His first assignment was to level up Misha. Of course, he could move to a higher level team now, since he had better specs, but he wouldn't be able to take Misha with him. So he would stay in this team for now, and Misha could level up the contract with her spirit beast, and get an essence too. They also needed to change her main weapon. When he was going through the road, he saw an execution again. Then he said that he knew the first few days had been too quiet. As always, there were some crazy people. This time, people were here to see an evil spirit. But they were disappointed, saying that their blood is red too. Hearing the evil spirit's name, Bjorn came to look. And look what we got here. Lion's son. Tariqan, the person he gave money to buy a weapon. But it looks like he didn't buy a weapon with the money Bjorn gave him. Instead, he pretended to be a human to get a job in the city. Tariqan then showed Bjorn and tried to call his name. But thankfully, his mouth was covered. Then he got executed. Bjorn just looked away. Then he remembered that that could be him, and he decided to give up on helping others out of pity. Then a man came and asked him if he was Jandel's son, Bjorn. Bjorn told him to screw off. That man said not to be so harsh, and that he was in a similar position as him. Then he said Yusa, Thailand, Europe, and asked him where he came from.